And we are back in the Intel Esports Arena trying to put some sense behind this one. Luminosity faltering to Rogue in the first map. We did see Nuke go in their way. And I'm here with Pimp and Vendetta. Now, guys, what can we even start to take away from this? I know you both doubted Rogue at the beginning of this.
Hey, now.
That's just not what happened.
Hey, now. I had Rogue winning.
Yeah, you're right.
There we go. So yeah, we can single out Pimp for being wrong. I think that's perfectly fine. We've been accustomed to this.
Only on Tuesdays, really.
But fair enough.
With that, I mean, what can we seriously detract from this? I mean, because obviously, was it Rogue playing well, Luminosity playing down to the level? What happened?
I think it actually is a case of Rogue playing well. This is one of their better maps that we've seen so far in this season. I think it's very evident, judging from the T side, that they have done their homework as to how they want to approach it entirely. I think the reason why we see Luminosity even pick up as many T rounds as they did is off the back of the pistol round. And that's really what comes down to it. And that was kind of my I guess, fear initially going into this as well, the fact that Luminosity don't necessarily practice this map a whole lot. They do leave it in there kind of just as a bit of a bait in vetoes more often than not, but they never actually go to it. It's not a map they feel extremely comfortable on, and you kind of see that showcased in a lot of ways here as well. So they don't have as many strings to play off of really as we saw Rogue do, and that's why we end up with this kind of a result.
Yeah, I agree. It was a very well-drilled machine from Rogue on that T side. 2 of the rounds they won, Luminosity out of the 5 were anti-eco, so like not really anything spectacular for them. Nuke is normally a map where you see the CT side pick up 10, 11, even 12 rounds sometimes. So Luminosity were just not feeling it on Nuke, as we talked about. It's a new map, and Rogue were playing well, coming in with KD, and you could see like the way they play structured. There was a lot of the rounds where they were running down the clock. They changed up the tempo as well, did some fast in executes. They did pretty much everything. Play by the book, and everything worked. In a sense where the only rounds they lost, they shouldn't have lost, was these anti-ecos, and had they won them, it could have been a 16-5 score. Like, it wasn't even close at any point, even though it suggests 16-10. And it was 11-10 at some point as well. Like, it was up in the gaps, but as you said, it was due to the pistol rounds, and I felt Rogue were in control throughout the entire game, and that's pretty impressive considering that we are considering Luminosity to be a better team, player for player, and team-wise as well. They have a little bit more to offer, but on Nuke, it was just Rogue all over the place.
And I know we talked about it in the pre-match, how the comparison between Sick and Yell, who would actually be able to have the most impact in this game, and I think you see what happens when you have an Opera who's not necessarily too comfortable on the map.
Yeah.
And just an Opera in general on Nuke is pretty tough to play unless you have a very solid CT side. Sick was just way more impactful than Yell. Yell did get some work done in the first half, but over the course of the entire game, that was Sick kind of winning out that duel.
Well, even then, we could look at perhaps Cadian having picked up the op at certain points. It just was not something that ever came fruitful, dare I say.
It's a tough map to play with an op, so...
It's true, yeah. I mean, the angles, it's really going to take more of a shotgun opera, as I like to call it, more of a combat opera that will get in your face, will get aggressive and try to take the fight to the opponent. But of course, Sick, GMD, and Hiko having a pretty good performance there. I would say stand out from the 3 of them, but it seemed like just a pretty well-meshed machine. You said it pretty well.
Yeah, a well-drilled machine, and as you said, it was pretty much all players who chimed in at points. Kaden had some rounds, Hiko had some rounds, Sick had some rounds. It was all of them. Yep. It was just a Rogue in control, and it's fun to see a team that we expect to be playing to avoid relegation being in such a big control. It seemed like they were playing like fundamentally strong Counter-Strike. Luminosity obviously made it easy for them, considering it is Nuke and they weren't playing up to that level. You could see the way they were rotating, especially on the CT side. It didn't look comfortable for them, and it looked a little bit hectic for them as well. So definitely something to take away from that as well. But I'm very impressed by Rogue showing this level now again. Like the last time we saw them, they did beat Uptick 16-3. So we've seen we've seen more potential, and we've seen more positive stuff than negative stuff so far for Rogue.
Which is feels good, man. I think that's appropriate. Might be in the wrong place for that.
Yeah.
But we will be going to Train. That's the next map on the docket here.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be a Feels Bad Man.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean,
do you think there's such a contrast between the 2 maps? I mean, in terms of these 2 teams squaring off?
I think it is, especially when you consider like the comfortable, or I guess comfortness level. Is that even a word?
Comfortability?
Yeah, comfortability. We're making up words here as we go. But yeah, I definitely think this is more to Luminosity's liking than Nuke is. It's definitely a map that they go to a lot more. Again, they've kind of followed the trend of the two previous Brazilian teams that have gone up the ranks in SK and Immortals, right? Started out with Cobble being their homestay, then kind of branching out to maps like Train and so on. And I think that's kind of the similar story for them as well going into this one. And they are a pretty good Train team. We've seen in previous seasons they've taken maps off of SK, Cloud9, and so on this very map. And I don't see any reasons why Rogue should have something to kind of go up with this, because now we come back to the fact that it's a better map for Luminosity, and as you've mentioned many times, they're better pound-for-pound players, I think.
Also a map where Yell can get to show us what we were talking about in the pre-game, like being a very dominant AWPer and Yell just being one of those guys who can dictate games and dictate how it should be played. Because he's one of those AWP players who also like just shut down his team from time to time, and he's one of those AWPers as well who are great at coming into these combat fights as well, which is why it was a little bit surprising and a little bit disappointing to see him be that lackluster on Nuke. And that was just, it went over the entire time for Luminosity. It was just not a comfortable map for them, and I think they maybe got hit by surprise with the Vitos or something like that, because living in Nuke.
Why isn't Cobble left?
Exactly. Living in Nuke in a map or in a match against Rogue is just not. There must have been some mistake.
As soon as some Danes are involved, just immediately
stay
go
away
to Veto.
from pretty much all 7 maps, because we're just superior in the game.
Oh, there we have it.
And how do you feel about that at home? I'm going to have to entice you to use hashtag ESL Pro League to get involved on your favorite social media platforms, of course, to really kind of attest to what Pimp is saying. I don't know if we can all agree that Danes are carrying Counter-Strike. Do you mean it?
We're up there. Let's be honest. NA have, 1 out of 10 majors. Wouldn't say Danes maybe have more, but in that sense, we're Europeans, and if we take it by then we're also good. So.
What I'm sensing here is a sense of...
I can't lose.
Yeah, I mean, I think no matter what, my American comrade over here is not...
You don't really have Jason to back you up here.
Yeah. Jason, hello?
No, it's just mute.
Still no Jason. But guys, Train, I think with this showing from Rogue, we're poised to have a much better matchup than I believe initially given. Yeah,
and I mean, considering what they left us with in the previous week with the off-take, I definitely didn't expect that at all from Rogue. So maybe they're on an upward trajectory in that sense. So yeah, definitely expect more of a fight, but I still see Luminosity coming out on top of it. Again, it's more the fact that it's going to be more chances for someone like Yell to kind of assert dominance on the map, and I think it's going to be tougher for Rogue to find answers to it, really. But yeah, definitely. I wouldn't be too surprised if we saw getting into double figures and that kind of stuff.
Definitely agree. It's sort of like a bonus map for them. Now they already steal 1 map away from Luminosity.
That was the goal for the night.
That was the goal for the entire night for Rogue. 1 map is great against a team like Luminosity, who again is competing for being a top 6 team, whereas Rogue are playing to avoid relegation and just stay in Pro League. So they've already done their job now. So they can go in with 0 pressure, and if they can steal another map and actually take this 2-0, that'd be a huge surprise.
It'd be a huge surprise, and it's interesting to think about what sort of dynamic that would have on the player psyche. Having had such a successful first map, going into the second one, all the pressure's off.
Yeah, I think it's much easier if you get off to a rough start. Let's say Luminosity go up 5-0 or something like that. It's much easier for you to kind of shut off any sort of nervousness or stress that you might put yourself in if they were to experience a similar kind of scenario on Nuke, for instance. The map you're kind of just banking everything on, right? So at this point, you can kind of play more relaxed. You don't get as hung up on mistakes you make, and you might actually be in with a better chance because of it, because you don't actually tilt yourself. So I think that's a big advantage for Rogue going into this. But again, they do have a bit of a mountain to climb.
For sure, especially against Yell. Just want to point that out. Cello as well is a great chain player. Yeah. In general, we talked about Luminosity being better pound for pound, and I think we're going to see that in a lot of duels now on Train, especially on the CT side for the LG guys. They're pretty solid.
Pretty solid. So there's a chance that was a warm-up. Not a fluke, but dare I say that they might come to the table more awake now, more prepared, more aware, which is a weird thing to think about, but it does exist. I'm sure you guys can attest to that.
For sure, and especially when you know you're playing a map that you're not comfortable on. Counter-Strike, it's sort of a nitty-gritty game in a sense where if you just feel 5% off or 10% off, you're going to look like you're a Silver 2 player compared against some global elites in that sense. And I think that's what we saw on Nuke. It was just Luminosity not feeling comfortable. Now we're coming into their playground. It is Train, a map they are notoriously for being decent on, at least. And you talked about it, Brazilians are good on Train. Yell is good on Train. Cello is good on Train. Showtime even play good Trains from time to time. A great inner player. So we're just going to see a different Luminosity in this one, and I think it should be a great game, especially considering Rogue are coming out of Nuke with that much confidence as well. I think they have a decent chance of making this close as well.
I think one of the cool things about the performance we saw now is that outside of Pro League, GMD, one of the new players on the side of Rogue, has been playing pretty decently, but we haven't really seen that translate in towards the better teams that they've gone up against so far in the season. This time around,
been tested.
Yeah, no, well, yeah. He has. Well, he hasn't necessarily been tested, but he hasn't delivered either, which is kind of an issue, right? And now we saw him versus Luminosity actually have a pretty decent first map. Again, all of Rogue really had a pretty decent map. If that could actually boost confidence for them and actually believe in their own individual skill, and GMD obviously possesses that, otherwise he wouldn't be in the team, otherwise he wouldn't actually do so well outside of Pro League. So I think that might be another positive thing going in the way of Rogue.
So we are waiting on one player. That's becoming a common trend here.
Is it a Windows update?
I'm calling it how I see it. it's becoming a common trend here with Rogue. But I'm going to have to go on the speculation side of things and ask you guys, what exactly do you think it is that's keeping this player from joining?
I want to say Windows Update.
I think he's taking a dump.
All right.
Outstanding.
Do you have confirmation on this, or is it just wild? Are we just throwing out wild guesses here?
Yeah, I mean, wild guesses, because I don't actually have the answer. I just kind of want to see what you guys would come up with. And naturally, your minds went to where I thought it would.
I mean, well, yeah, either Windows Update, spilled some drink on his mouse pad. That's a classic.
Honestly, taking a dump is a classic. Like, you expect a 5-minute break, but you go out there and it's just
time sneaks up on you,
than you're normally used to.
Yeah, just kind of.
So it happens.
Life comes at you fast. And so could... so could the number 2, I suppose. Anyway, we're going to get away from that. I'm going to ask you guys, do you change your predictions, or do you stand where you stand?
I guess I changed it from the first map. So, yeah, I'm going with Luminosity for Train. I feel like that's a safe bet.
I am going for Luminosity as well. I think they have everything it takes now, and they need a 1-1. They can't afford to lose this 2-0, so they have to take this one.
Yep. They have to take this one, and we have to take it over to these other guys to my right, named Jason and Harold. Of course, these guys ready to bring you and deliver that action. And guys, I just don't think we ever really ask you guys how you're feeling. And ultimately, I'm concerned. We were talking about it during the break. We want to make sure you guys are okay.
I am fantastic. I've eaten a couple of carrots. That's very I actually have one with me. Always carry that around.
It's funny because you look like a bunny.
You think you're dating renegades and how much savage you have in you, Pim.
Well, time to go. See you later, guys.
Oh, phenomenal appetizer there. And now on to the main course. Rogue versus Luminosity. Things are getting wild. We're going to get a rush to this outer bomb site. It appears like not a rush. They do stop and wait. 2 players with utility on the Luminosity side. And some damage, some bullets hailing in, and here it comes. Here's the late smoke, deep. They're going to pop right through this one. Flashbang come through and jump, explode through it, and who's on the other side? Absolutely no one. No deaths still, and finally Hiko and Sick get in on the action, and all of the aggression, the initial fight from Luminosity is tempered. 2 players go down, and that's all the danger taken away out of this attack. I think they had to have been so confused to not see anyone else when they jumped out onto the other side of that smoke.
Good start for Rogue. They're looking to try and keep that good form going from Nuke. And I'm going to be honest with you, like, this is one that I thought, Luminosity, I think Train is a map they should be able to win out. I think this is probably one of their best maps. It's one that I very much enjoy watching them play, but Rogue already getting off to a good start is going to make things very tricky for them. Now they've forced Sport down into this one. Yell's going to be saving up some extra cash so he can go for the AWP into round number 4. And they're setting up initially. I was going to say over towards B, but then they leave Cello behind a mid. They've taken control down towards Ivy. They're waiting to see if Rogue are going to try anything aggressive. They did spot Sick out there and just tag him back a little bit more.
Yeah, trying to get some lucky spam through the wall. Not the worst idea in the world. They've actually done pretty decent. Tagged Vice down to 61. Sick is at 69. But still very patient on these 4 spies from Luminosity. As we saw on Nuke, they're giving time for someone from Rogue to step into the Deagle and maybe just get that one fortunate shot to let you out. Now, the tough part for Rogue is they're giving up a lot of ground towards Ivy. Vice playing here. This is a lot of map control seeded over when Luminosity is about to be ready to stream out. 2 flashbangs for the Brazilians. And 4 players pretty much at this bomb train. So, Cello going to lead the way with the CZ. Spots one out. That kind of gives up the contact. Great shot from Hiko. A headshot right onto Showtime. And Vice handling well until Cello wraps around him. 2 kills come out. Still an element of danger. And Hiko's dinked and taken down. And Cadian on this flank might be the saving grace for Rogue. Neck is just down to 1 HP. They've done a lot of damage. Not able to get the bomb plant, though. Not able to win the round. That's 2 for Rogue.
Yeah, they're feeling a bit worried there, but they're able to win it back in the end. Damage done, though, for Luminosity. Can't be too disappointed with that, and that will hope to stint there by to round 4. You'd imagine that they want to try and go for the B play here. They've got the 1 flash, and that's pretty good of getting you out into the site. And go for the bomb plant, but Sick and Cadian here early on. It's the MP9, the Shredder, that just looks to try and chew through this Luminosity side. That Incendiary going to go ahead and isolate this push as well. Cello and Yell both go in. And no one else is there to follow suit, so it is just Showtime and Neckers left. 2v5, they should have no way of getting back into this round. And yeah, it looks to be the case. All 5 players gonna survive for Rogue. Got a bit uncertain there, but they do manage to do it.
Vice really struggled with that last duel, didn't he? The crouch and commit to the fight at long range and couldn't handle the spray out of the Famos either way. No damage taken in that round, which is very good for Rogue. Helps them recover from the losses in the second, although they're still going to have to do that for... Still going to have to work at that recovery for some time. Op is out in Yell's hands. It's a solid buy from Luminosity. And Cadian's going to keep the SMG. You'd imagine he'll want to get close. Got to be careful how he does it. And Neckers looking for an AWPer, looking for anyone to peek that upper ramp, those white halls. Vice goes down to 22. He's been tagged. He's not ready for that. Yell being so aggressive. It's not every day you see that kind of a play. The AWP leading the way into taking over Ivy, and this is a very awkward scenario. This is going to be so difficult. Now, thankfully, Cadian and GMD have control of Team Mid, but that leaves it all on Hiko to hold this off. A lot of time for that AWP to be perched, and PKL watching his back, and if Hiko walks right into this, the round could just end here. A great kill. Gives up the fight afterwards, though. The AWP is still out, now just slinks away towards Ivy, so the response has to come from elsewhere for Luminosity, and no one else has budged.
Cello is about to walk into this crossfire where GMD and Cadian both lie in wait. Around the corner, line up for GMD, and they don't manage to trade it, so now GMD going to be laughing, smokes it off, and Showtime. Oh, that's Cadian in the smoke. They're both just toying with each other, and he's going to start to... They're almost touching one another, Jason. They're right there.
I mean, he's getting so much information. Just waiting for it to clear. That's a great spin from Yell, but it's too little, too late. Cadian's done the damage and gotten the information, and more importantly, GMD with a double kill. Ooh, great find. Yell tracks him as he falls straight down. 10 seconds left, though. No time to win this, and now he's got to commit. Now he just has to die. He gets another tag on a 6er, doing some work, and he somehow fights his way out. I don't know how he does that. One of the more spectacular losses you'll ever see.
Yeah, that was one of the most fantastic saves I think I've ever seen. Yell just kind of doing it all.
And from start to finish, like the way he opened up Ivy as well, pushing through his smoke with the AWP, that's incredible. So a lot of damage done by him to the money of Rogue, even though he doesn't win the round. So he's done his job in terms of keeping Rogue at a tipping point with their money. Chance to do more as well. The Molotov going to force him away for now and actually do great damage. Burn him down to 52. Susceptible to nades now as well.
Oh, but that's a nice opener found by Cello. Going to be able to drop out GMD. And now, the kind of worrying thing I think if you're Rogue is that Yell is clearly feeling something right now. Manavite is taken early on for Luminosity this round. 6 going to offer himself up to Luminosity, and that is this site cracked wide open. Showtime keeps the pressure on. He's going to go ahead and find Cadian down in connector. And this looks like a save from Rogue. They have to go ahead and get the hell out of there. They've conceded this round to the Pistols. The Deagles do it all.
Yeah, that's an utter collapse from the defense. These kinds of things can't happen. Luminosity doesn't even really do anything. They just let Rogue walk right into their Deagles. We've seen their force buys in the past, their Deagle purchases. They don't really attack a whole lot. They just wait to pounce on mistakes, and this time Rogue gives it to them where they haven't in the past. Smoke going to come out. Vice and Hiko going to have to try and stay alive here. Hiko with the AWP. Luminosity's not too invested in chasing this down. There are 2 players here. Do they come in at the end is the question. There's the boost up over the box, and they do find 1. Timeout called. I'm assuming from Rogue. As they know this is the last buy they'll have. If they can't win it, they're going to be back to the Pistols themselves.
And I mean, now we're kind of in with the shot of getting to see whether or not Yell can replicate some of those heroics with the AWP. I'm excited to see how he fares. He's always a delight to watch on train. This is kind of the map that springs to mind when you say his name. So early on, Curious to see where he does have it. He's going to be taking the AWP over here toward B. Maybe trying to get the timing. Sick has shown he's more than prone to going for a bit of aggression here. Yal instead holding back, waiting to see if anyone tries an aggressive peek up here into halls. And it's not going to be the case. Just Sick alone inside that B bomb. It's like Cadian is the option for a fast rotation as he waits over in connector. And it's a similar default here for Luminosity early on, just spreading out, maintaining control of critical portions of the map. A man down by Ivy. Players over here at B as well. But this time perhaps a bit of a more immediate response. They picked up the bomb, they're going to start to make their way over towards B. The only issue is, look at this from Rogue there. Going to answer back with some aggression of their own. They're all heading over towards main and pop. The only issue is that Sick, he's already gone down, and that's the B bomb site. Crumbling down around Rogue. It's already been taken.
Yeah, this is a good call now from Rogue to just save these weapons. I think it was a rough call, a tough call to make. If you have one player with a UMP and he's guarding the inner bomb site all by himself, you need to cheat someone back there. It's fine to have him with the initial stand, the initial kind of information gathering, but you do need to get someone to follow up and help them out. That's too much to ask for, especially because once they stream out upper, UMP versus 2 AKs at the upper ramp, there's not many players in the world who are going to be able to win that fight from the CT side of things. And now, plenty of time for Luminosity to try and hunt down if they want. But because Rogue called the save so early, they should be pretty safe in the positions that they have chosen, and this would just end up, feels like, being costly for Luminosity to throw bodies at the issue. So, a second round for Luminosity, heading into round 7. And again, much like Nuke, this small little streak, or these first 2 rounds they've gotten, have started off because of a pistol upgrade purchase.
Yeah, they seem to be big fans of those. As, once again, it's their path to success. Now this time, thanks to saving the 4 players in the previous round, Sick's been dropped to Famas over, a little bit better weapon for him over there towards B. The UMP, there's going to be 3 players here early on. They try their hand at aggression, and Luminosity have their number perfectly. They're already out on A, and Cadian, he's been flashed back. It all falls onto GMD, and he only takes 1 down with him. Luminosity, the perfect read, the perfect execution, and now Hiko, speaking of executions, him and Vice, both going to get beheaded down in Pop Dog, leaving us all on Sick. He's locked out of this round. 1v4 would be required from him, and that would be one hell of a feat, to say the least. And once again, for Rogue, it's a gamble they take early on that comes back to punish them.
A great call from Luminosity. That's the uppercut, just finishes them off. They know that they're going to be missing some nades to just hit that outer bomb site. Maybe there's not a Molotov, which there wasn't. Maybe there's not 2 nades flying into the choke point, which there wasn't, and they find an opening. And just maybe 1 or 2 missed shots from Cadian was all it took to seal that round. 3-4, and finally Rogue will have to be forced back to pistols. Have to save up. No real investment from them. They'll upgrade a couple. Yeah, right there in GMD, there's just, you know, asking for 2 kills there is such a tall task. CZ, P250s coming out. Some flashbangs of smoke, but Rogue has to sit this round on the sidelines, essentially. And Luminosity, meanwhile, they've done a great job in these wins, in these 3 in a row. They have kept a lot of players alive, so they are starting to build up a really, really strong economy behind all of this. Gonna be tough for Rogue to break it.
Yeah, this time they try to hand their aggression once again over into main, but as you kind of hit the nail on the head, Luminosity are building up so much cash, and this round, I mean, you imagine they keep it fairly clean, and for Rogue, it's important that they're able to find some sort of damage. Now, a missed shot from Yell early on. Doesn't actually lead to much just yet, but he's kind of playing with fire here. He's going to finally back away and just concede his side of Ivy, leaving Hiko up to the defense. Nade is going to go ahead and just chip Hiko down. They're going to be boosting him up. And this is... don't know if we're really going to see this boost come to fruition, as now the bomb has rotated away. It's going to rejoin up with the rest of the gang. The only thing is, this 3-man stack, or 2-man stack, rather, going to cause some problems indeed. Cadian in with the bait, and now GMD emerges from the woodwork. He smites down 2. Neck is going to try and trade back, and he will, but 6 there, and he delivers. Bomb going to be retrieved by Cello. The trade comes in, but Hiko's dropped out the lone man down in Ivy, and now it's Cello. 1 versus 2. Bomb on his back and 20 seconds left. He has to claw this one back, tooth and nail, to try and lock this round in for Luminosity. A round that never should have been for Rogue, and they might have been able to patch this one together. Cello going to be spotted by Hiko. Repeat comes in from Vice. He knows where he is. He isolates the engagements, and Cello will win it out. Luminosity onto a 4th. It comes down to the wire. They still managed to get it.
Yeah, really nice 1 versus 2 from Cello, and GMD everything he possibly could. The reload just takes too long for him to recover. 4 kills, but can't convert into a win. And like I said, the money is so strong behind Luminosity that even that kind of economic damage doesn't matter a whole lot. Cello at 12,000, PKL over 7,000. Double up setup busted out for Rogue. Expensive strategy. Haven't seen it yet. 6 got 1 towards the inner bomb site. Cadian has the other. He's in old held right now, so Cello's got to be careful how far he swings to his left, but look at the presence in Ivy. Vice has got great positioning. When does he choose to push forward even more? It's a long way to go, and you risk a lot of opportunities to be spotted. But again, Sick is being entrusted with the entire inner bomb site defense. Great trade from GMD. But Sick has fallen so far back, and he is the only one here, and he's got to choose between 2 different choke points, and he chooses incorrect, misses the shot, and he should go down as they do get closer and closer. And there's Yell perched up at the lower ramp. And again, just too much to ask for 1 man at the center bomb site.
Yeah, and I think becoming a real problem now for Rogue in these rounds. Luminosity going to move forward onto a 5th. And I mean, let's not forget, Rogue got off to a 4-0 head start. Since then, it has been all aboard the Luminosity train. They want to try and punch their ticket to a 1-1 finish. And the way that they've been conducting themselves thus far has been perfect. Trying to think any more train puns I can get in there.
Take your time. Sit a couple rounds out with that one and think of a new one.
I'll mull that one over.
Yeah.
But Kenya's going to go down. That's the AWP out of their hands now. And Vice, he's desperately trying to trade, but to save rather. But look at this. The onslaught of Luminosity come his way. I actually put save and trade together to get trade. And that was what he was hoping to do.
You were saying you wanted to learn new words.
They just start making them up now. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, it's not looking good right now for Rogue. And they don't need a made-up word. They need to eco. And that's the word they've become all too familiar with in this series thus far.
They've almost won a couple. They just lost that. I mean, they had that one promising round where they lost the 2-on-1 to Cello. So that's got to be frustrating, but obviously we all know the CZs can do some work. I think the big question for Rogue is how much of an adaptation do they make when the gun rounds come out in the next? Do they rotate someone back to help with the inner bomb site? Do they rotate someone back to help Sick? They do have 2 players there now and 2 players in ladder room, so they want to be able to crunch this inner bomb site if it's necessary. Molotov forces these 2 ladder room players out into the open. Both have been spotted. And then Yell and Cello just set up a firing squad. It's brutal. Good kill from Nekaz. He is dinked. He can watch the flank with low health. And Luminosity is going to creep up to 6, as it's only the deals remaining.
Yeah, it all falls onto Vice. And he's got a very tricky way to try and get back into this. Pop is probably the worst place to be coming from with this Deeg. Luckily enough for him, I was going to say there's no one there, but Showtime has just crept on in, and that's going to leave Vice now in a position where he's going to look for some exits, maybe try and leave this round with a rifle, though it's not looking likely. Luminosity moving on to a 6th, and as you said, yeah, I feel like some adjustment has to come in for Rogue in the coming round. Okay, he's been able to get Yell, and Nekaz as well, so he's done damage. He's grabbed himself an AK, going to keep pushing forward, and maybe one more onto Cello, but no, he'll be finished off, and he was eyeing up the AWP there as it fell on the ground just in front of him. Cello wins it out, he's able to save it. And I mean, there's still so much money for Luminosity, even in these rounds that have come fairly close. I mean, Cello heading into this round had almost 16,000. So, you know, money's still not an issue for them. And then you kind of look over at Rogue, and there's no such storyline there for them. Money has been the heart of their problem.
Yeah, it's that awkward scenario for the CT side where they've never been able to get under control. So every buy they have is essentially their last. That first win needs to be a pretty strong win, and then they need to be able to build upon it. And it can be so tough to do, to be able to build upon a one-round win when you have a terrorist team where everyone's sitting, you know, right around $10,000, you know, give or take. Especially when nothing has worked. And here's another adjustment. They go back to the single op setup on Cadian, but look at where Sick is playing on the minimap. He's 3. He was all the way back at Connector. Now he's going to push forward only as Hiko rotates back to help him. So there is the adjustment I was speaking of. And Hiko actually going to commit himself even further into the bomb site. Big fight for Cadian, but he's not aware how exposed he is to Yell. It's another great entry from the Brazilian op. Gonna wrap around towards CT spawn. The bomb is gonna go meet up, and it's all on Hiko now. He's got a position. He's got to stand and fight. He's out in the open. There's 1 kill, and Yell is gonna have to trade this. Has him pinned down at the moment. Awkward situation for an op to be in because he can't be as aggressive as you'd like. It's all on this hit. Sick, though, has been isolated. Essentially what Yell has done is distract Hiko long enough, and there he is playing with the smoke. 1 more kill with the AWP. Great awareness as he spins around, but Vice does clean it out, but so much time has been bought, so much space has been given, and NECA's in a great position, and Hiko just can't clear it out effectively. Has to back away from the fight. I don't think they can go for this, especially as the flank comes in. Vice, there's a timer on his life at the moment. Hiko does get 1 kill, but Showtime is here now to be able to punish anything, and Hiko's considering backing off, it feels. They all are, and finally they make the decision. It's just too late.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling a bit bad for Rogue now because, in particular for one man, Hiko, he's actually been doing quite well. Feels like, as you know, the term Henry kind of coined, he's been rolling back the years thus far. He's been winning out a lot of these one-on-ones when we've seen him in both maps. I mean, obviously, you know, it's 6-6 right now on the scoreboard, not much to write home about, but normally it feels like we're seeing on a lot of these retake scenarios, which are always tricky to try and contend with.
Yeah, I mean, they were never in a great position to actually have a successful retake. It's just so difficult to make that call when it's this scoreline. Like, you always want to stick around for that extra 3 seconds to see if you can get a kill that makes it possible. And when that 3 seconds is up, you stick around for another 3 seconds. And this round may only last 3 seconds, as Yell and NECA is both finding opening kills immediately. Just first fight they take, players deleted. Sick has arrived, as NECA was trying to take more than maybe possible. And look at the adjustment from LG. This is a great call. They're about to get a free bomb site, and again, Rogue won't be able to go for it. No kits on these 3 remaining players. Not enough utility to feel confident. And already post-plant positions being taken up. A missed shot from both oppers, though. Might allow a chance into it. Is Rogue feeling spicy? No.
Yeah, we needed them to feel any sort of spice to go for that, but instead they're more like a warm coconut flavor, kind of the least spicy of all the flavors. I don't know. What do you say the least spicy flavor is, Jason?
The least spicy flavor.
Yeah, it's a pretty tricky question, but very open-ended. Lots of space to run with your answer.
That's the exact thing. I don't think it is tricky because you could literally say anything
that isn't spicy.
That's not spicy.
That's very true. But, well, Rogue, they were whatever that mystery dish was. They weren't feeling up to the task of the retake there. Can't say I blame them. They've saved some extra money.
Your most famous call is Spicy Spicy Man.
Spicy Spicy Man, yep. You know, the claim to fame.
Why haven't you bringing that one back?
Well, you know, I want to reserve it for the big
really
play.
Yeah.
And, you know, while we've seen some big plays, it's not, you know, just kind of imagine
saving it for the arena days.
Exactly.
Huh? Right.
Imagine some of the most iconic moments we've seen, but with Spicy Spicy Man instead.
What if we just made a YouTube video of all the epic frags in Counter-Strike history, and we just put Spicy Spicy Man over
Yeah,
it?
no, that'd be good. Well,
I wonder which one would sound the best.
Yeah, it's truly open-ended. A question of the ages, Jason. Here is Cadian. Oh, that was almost a collateral, but actually, he's gambled and lost it all. Yell's found the opener, and actually, look at this as well. Cello, he slipped so far in. They've got no idea he's this far into the site, and with that, he gets the information that Ivy's left open.
Look at how shattered Rogue is mentally. Look at all the rotations that one kill has caused. Good win from Sick. They really, really needed that. Doesn't even take a whole lot of damage, and feels like Cello should have had more of an advantage. Should have at least gotten one there, but Nekaz has still lurked his way in towards Pop Dog at inner. Luminosity, they're just making so many gains on the map. Somebody doesn't spot him. Now he's waiting. He needs to take this kill at some point. There's a timer on it. There it is, the headshot. Now he's going to get in towards Connector very quick. Molotov it out. Sick still somehow holding Luminosity at bay. A 3-on-3, and this time Rogue has to go for it. This has been the most promising round they've had in quite some time.
Yeah, they've had to save in so many of these rounds. Now we're finally going to see them go for this retake. It's a promising one, as you said. Vice is the first man in. Lots of angles yet to clear, but he still has Sick with him. Nekaz holds the angle. He's going to get tapped on out. Sick's able to trade, but in the blink of an eye, the round is turned back on its head. Luminosity pick things up, and they very, very quickly and discreetly dispatch of the 3 remaining Rogue players as they lock themselves in a 9th. And now, it's kind of very, very upsetting state of affairs right now for Rogue as they try to cobble a bye together. It's not anything to write home about. They don't have money into the next round either if they lose this. So
no, it's not looking good. And I mean, the one big thing that we've seen Rogue really fail at is being, in positions to retake bomb sites, whether they just don't have enough players, or even if they do, no kits. So they were rushed. Again, no kits for Rogue is why I bring that up. And Sick looks like he wants to get aggressive. Nekaz has done a good job towards the center bomb site, though. Just waiting for any kind of peek. And here's a new angle from Sick as he jumps up onto the boxes. Great kill from Yell again. This is like a 3-for-3 entry attempt for Yell over towards Ivy. Molotov forces Cadian away. Applying pressure to the defense that's very centralized around ladder and the inner bomb site. 3 players essentially ready to pounce on any kind of hit towards B. And even though Sick's in that cool position, no one even getting close to attacking it. If another Molotov from Showtime goes into ladder room and they're ready to pounce in mid, that could be the end. But actually it does seem like Luminosity is going to cheat back. At least this time, Sick is still alone, but he has an early warning system from this position. Only gets 1. Now they've got to hustle. GMD going to try and make his play up the ladder, and there's no one watching this quite yet. There's only 3 players in, and they lost 1, so no one's got eyes on the flank. Yell is watching for a connector play. When does he turn around? He does it. GMD does find it. Now the retake is on. Again, the most promising situation.
Yeah, but PKL, he's gone on such a lengthy flank round, and this could make or break this round for Luminosity.
It's not planted for him, though.
Might be able to dispatch Acadian. They do lose out on GMD, so now the pressure falls onto Hiko to try and make a play. Spots out Nekaz, and he's going to find it. It's all left on Acadian, and he's going to leg down Nekaz at the end. That is not what you want to see. 10th round secured for the Brazilians, and it is an entirely different scenario to what we saw on Nuke. They have looked fantastic here on Train. There is no doubt about it. I don't really think there was that much doubt coming into it. I think for Rogue, the map that they would have felt very comfortable with is going to be Nuke. I feel like we've seen both of these teams' kind of strongest maps coming into this one. There is still a chance, though, for Rogue to haul things back. It's just very, very good T-side thus far from Luminosity. What another fantastic call. Look at this.
Yeah, it really is. I'm just laughing. It's certainly, why not Rogue if they want to win a round? Why not do it here? Only 2 players outside initially. A tactical outplay from Luminosity. The bomb is going down. 1 player in ladder room going to jump out, but Yell's there to cover. His teammate thanks him kindly as he goes down. That was PKO with the bomb plant. Cadian waiting to come through the smoke, and the transfer over from Cello is good. Luminosity to complete a terrifyingly strong T-half. 11-4 on Train. Returning the favor from Nuke.
Yeah, Luminosity looking like an entirely different team here at the end of the first half. Train has been their map, and for Rogue, or Hiko's Angels, as they're sometimes dubbed by me, they're struggling a bit here, Jason. There's no denying it. Let's take a look at how things have gone. Yeah, Sick, he's been... it feels weird. Like every time he was over towards A, it felt like he had good success, but it was when he was left alone in the inner bomb site that we saw him struggle. He's actually top of the board right now for Rogue, and then over on Luminosity, Nekaz, he's the one trying to drive this home. 16-11 and 115 ADR. Joined up there at the top of the board along with Cello.
Now, you could look at this and say, individually Rogue just didn't stack up in that first half, but that doesn't tell the whole story, because, yeah, it looks true by the stats, but the way that Luminosity had such an advantage over the players individually is from just the straight-up calling, the tactical side of the game is just Rogue never could get a hold of what was coming, never had any real knowledge, couldn't rotate into position, and lost a lot of entries. So really, really good calling done by Luminosity, especially towards the end of that half, when you know every strategy you've ran has essentially worked at one point. It's so hard for the defense to figure out where to stack to stop something. So Luminosity, a pretty easy time of it, all things considered strategically.
I mean, now there's so much riding on the pistol round. This is kind of the one issue, right, when you have these very one-sided scorelines, is that makes or breaks this for Rogue. If they win it, you know, suddenly there's a potential for them to come back 7-11.
Right.
There suddenly we're at where Pimp got his pasta from earlier.
Where did Pimp get his pasta from?
From a 7-11. 7-11 pasta.
Okay.
Apparently, the iconic pasta shop.
I've never heard of 7-Eleven pasta.
Me
the
neither.
only time I've had, well, maybe not the only time, I'm sure there's been others in my life, was hot dogs from 7-Eleven in Katowice, morning after the after party last year.
How was that? Did you get sick?
No, but it was
Where you
so
dodged the bullet
necessary.
there.
I was already sick, and essentially the hot dog kind of helped me out, you know?
Yeah.
One of those mornings where a 7-Eleven hot dog is your Jesus. 4 players towards the inner bomb site for Rogue. There's 3 players stacked up on the defense here, so Luminosity in a really good spot. Molotov for Hiko for a connector here. They are jumping down. Nekas hits one headshot, trying to go for more, and he does. He gets a second. One player continuing to push forward, but the stack has Rogue caught completely off guard, and Yell just going to shut things down. Nekas and Yell 2 kills. Everyone on that inner stack for Luminosity gets at least 1 kill.
Yeah, that was very, very nice stuff there from Luminosity. Once again, you know, really reading the play from Rogue well.
I don't even know if that was necessarily a read. I think it was just called out a spawn, right? And it's just like, let's flip a coin. Let's stack B and we'll see what happens. And a nice little wrecking. Nothing like starting the half out with a good shellacking.
Yeah, no, that is the spice of life, some people say. And, well, for Rogue, this time around, they force support CZs across the board, some armor to work with. No utility, though, so getting anywhere going to be made very, very difficult. You're relying a lot on Cadian to try and paint these guys up with damage with that Scout. And Scout's pretty versatile in that regard, especially when you have a team of CZs to follow up behind it. A chance for this deadly combination to work out, but an even deadlier combination is this crossfire set up between PKL and Nekas. PKL is going to go down, but now Cadian's been spotted. 6 worked his way up close, and actually they're doing damage. 6 going to have to go in for the reload. Nekas goes down as Vice doubles down over towards Old Hell. And now it's showtime 1 versus 2, and M4's been retrieved onto the back of Sick. The pressure's on for showtime, but also for Rogue here. They need this round. Scout's been retrieved. Sick gets spotted, though. The barrel as it falls back around the corner. Showtime. He's read this well. Vice goes in with the peek. He's now fallen. Sick holds the angle, though, and Sick's going to win it in the one-on-one. So that is Rogue answering back with a round. Now they're into a 5th, and a potential here to go ahead and take an 7-12 scoreline.
They have to battle their way through the CZs that are coming out. Luminosity's had plenty of success with these throughout the 2 maps that we've seen. Deagle's picked up as well on Cello, and Neck is Scout on PKL. So yeah, a lifeline here for Rogue. We'll see if they can extend it further. Down 7 rounds. It's going to be a rush towards the inner bomb site. Pop Flash comes out. Smoke down on the lower ramp. Here's Yell off angle with the CZ. There's the peek, and everyone from Rogue is ready and waiting. Neck is going to come over with the Deagle. That needs to be a kill, and it's not. Showtime tries to get sneaky. Just misses a bit too much, and that's the round given up. So yeah, Rogue is going to build upon that 1 round they snatched away after losing the pistol. And we'll see what else they can do, if they can make this an actual comeback.
Yeah, you know, we can't count Rogue out. They definitely have the talent on this roster to blaze a trail onto the comeback ahead. Cello holding off here, desperately hoping that maybe one of these players comes his way. And he might get a bit more than he bargained for. GMD's there. GMD's now been dealt with, but Cadian's able to trade, leaving PKL left alive. And Rogue moving on to a 6th. Luminosity saved this one scout up. But this is a shot at the comeback here now for Rogue.
Yeah, it really is, especially considering they upgraded off that round win to the M4 that was saved, and they haven't lost too much, so they can really start building up some money, which you're obviously going to need if you want to grind away at this Luminosity lead. Yell's got a Zeus. That makes me happy.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we see that get some action. He's going to be lying in wait, of course, down towards Ivy, but it doesn't look like the Zeus will fare too well, as Rogue, they've got charging in, and it's a slaughter inside of A. This round already looking like it's all said and done. It's just Yell left. Now he's been able to retrieve the Scout, so the Scout and the Zeus, the iconic duo.
Yeah. What a combo that is.
You know, you got your bit for long range, your bit for close range. It's good. Works. But not expecting too much from him here. 1v5 with these two weapons is would definitely be one for the record books. But yeah, it's not meant to be. And Rogue, they saw forward onto a 7th. Quite crucially, they managed to keep that round impeccably clean.
Yeah, just I mean a straight up outside rush, and no one from Luminosity could handle it. So that's quite nice. Obviously, the rifle's doing work at range, and then Hiko getting up close to that MAC-10, and Yell just trying to bring these guns into the next round to have some element of something that it can get a kill. 12-7, and I heard the noise for a timeout. So a bye coming in for the Brazilian side, and they want to talk things over, I would imagine. Or maybe not. Maybe they called the timeout, and the rest of the team said, hell no, not yet.
Or maybe you're so deep down the CS rabbit hole that you're just hearing things now. Like when people hear their phones buzzing.
That's like an actual like medical affliction, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Or, like considered a psychosis of some sort. Maybe not a psychosis, but
You've got.
Ooh, that's a awkward retreat. Retweet.
Oh, you really do have this this phone thing, don't you?
Yeah, I'm having a real difficult time. It is a little bit of insanity for sure. Showtime on top of the train, sees the utility coming over, gets out of the way quickly. They're going to wrap around him. He's got to be careful. Molotov towards upper ramp. That's a good first kill. Needs to build upon it. Spots out Vice. Showtime doing work here, now peering towards the lower ramp. Got to be careful. Overextends himself. Uses his entire magazine. And that's all the close-up defenders for Luminosity. There is a Molotov on Cadian. Sick is going to be tough to flush out of this position. Playing it well. And Hiko is checking the flank, now coming back. So one lower ramp, one upper ramp, and one on the bomb site that Luminosity has to deal with. Time ticking down, only one kit. That's on Yell. He's over towards High Train. Good opening kill. They need to drop a smoke on the bomb right now on that Molotov, and they do. Another one's going to come up, but it's not going to matter. The defuse is on. Hiko's got to peek. He goes down, and Cadian can do nothing. 1 versus 3. Doesn't want to peek into it. That smoke really ruined the day for Rogue. They were relying on those Molotovs to be able to buy more time. And Luminosity, 13-7 now.
Yeah, now Rogue, thanks to keeping, I think it was 8 out of 10 players alive, and you know, also upgrading for free on the back of that anti-eco win that they were able to get, or a force buy win rather. They do have plenty of money. Their buy is actually better than that of Luminosity, which is always good. There's something to take away from at least. So still in with a shot. It's aggression early on though from PKL. Down towards Ivy, going to get a bit of information from this. If he kept creeping forward, he would get even more, but opts to play things safe. Rogue, they've lined up smokes in towards this A bomb site. They look like they're just going to go on the back of this. Smokes onto the bomb train. Cello's holding close. He's the first point of contact. He's able to get one. The trade has to come through, but somehow he overstays his welcome, and Nekis sprays down GMD through the smoke, almost able to double down onto Vice. And he keeps the fight going. Nekis is just on fire on the bomb train right now. Cadian's wrapped around behind. Be able to get one. He's trying to make this possible. Yell's repositioned up into heaven, but he's been spotted out. Still able to drop Vice from the equation, and Cadian misses Showtime. So Luminosity, they managed to find a 14th. And that'll breed that much more success, as now They reinvest. Rogue still with money, but this is their last buy.
Yeah, it's a testament to how well they played, you know, when they finally got control of the economy after, you know, 3-4 rounds. Testament to how well the anti-ecos were played by Rogue, that they have so much money still able to invest. 7-14, desperation. A couple players finally down low in their money, so I think Hiko still has a pretty decent amount built up behind him, but other than that, it's all on this. PKL with a deep angle, M4 out towards Ivy. Cadian watching it, so if PKL swings wide, likely to get picked off. But he's willing to hold his angle. And some quiet descends upon the map. No real aggression, no real utility being used except for Vice. Just the smallest amount of pressure. There's some nades in towards T-mid. GMD, how does he want to play that?
He's still sticking around waiting for that smoke to dissipate. You've got about 5 more seconds left on it, so as that now fades, he's waiting, playing the anti-flash position. Waiting for his teammates to try and take control of Ivy. Luminosity, though, they've repositioned. They've got players over in Pop, the 2-man set up there, and PKL holding on to Ivy from Old Hell. Showtime now going to start to flex his muscles a bit down towards B as well. It does go pushing on in, but PKL, first point of contact, he's able to go ahead and decimate the oncoming forces, luckily enough. Damage inflicted, Yell has to fall back onto the bomb train. Cadian able to go ahead and cut down Neckers, pulls it back into a 2-on-3, but there's only 7 seconds left. They have to go for the bomb plant, and Yell, he's causing problems. It's going to go down. Showtime able to find them both in through the smoke. Comes down to the wire, and ultimately Rogue, they are punished for the lack of time.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Great kills by PKL just to stall this out as long as humanly possible. And at this point, even with losing some players, Luminosity can just throw bodies at the problem and just say, you have to take care of these, as there's only 7 seconds to plant. So look at what comes out next for Rogue. AK-47 on Sick, Galil on Vice, 3 CZs, and it's just going to be throw the utility over the wall and attack and see what comes. That first round used to try and bait out some counter nades, make things easier into the future. Still 3 smokes left on Rogue that they can use. Showtime just spotting lower ramp, and as soon as he sees someone, he'll fall away. He'll call for that second player to come in. And it would be Yell.
Yeah, Yell lines them waiting, connected with the AWP. Going to be there very, very quickly. And actually, Showtime starts to back away. He's going to hear the flash. That's them taking a peek down onto ramp. And Yell now rotates on in. Just as a precaution, he has the Incendiary, and that can slow down this play and isolate the players as they attempt to push down through ramp. Now they rain the smokes and flashes in, so he's able to get the Incendiary out. Yell, not aware that a man has pushed up close. That's GMD to find the first. He's going to keep going with the aggression. Yell shut down Vice, but GMD's not done yet. Claims a second life now, and Cello going to fall as well. GMD is on a roll. Has the AK to work with, back against the wall, and Neckers is up behind him. GMD home with a 4th. What is this man made of? He's not going to be able to get the aces. Cadian does mop that up. But it's an 8th round for Rogue. And now they've reset the economy of Luminosity. We are not done yet, Jason.
Yeah, they've drawn this one out, haven't they? And that's just some of the confidence and some of the playmaking that comes with having those CZs. You're a lot less worried about dying. You're a lot more willing to be aggressive and go into the risky situations. And it pays off for Rogue that round. Great hit, though, overall. They did, who was that? Showtime at the inner bomb site. You know, just the flashbang nails him full face. And it takes him far too long to recover from it, which allows GMD to wrap around the bomb site. Here's some danger. PKL does take out Cadian with the scout Sick, though, at Olaf. It's all down to timing of, will Neckers actually see this? No. Good elimination there. PKL can't respond in time. Sick has forced the opening for Rogue, and there's nothing that Showtime, Yell, and Cello can do to get back into this. Although Cello does have an M4 from above. There's the swing out wide. Does decent damage on the 2, but can't complete a kill. And And that's all she wrote. That was before your time as well.
I recognize it. And I can't believe that you know what, Jason, I don't. You know, the young, they eat the weak, and the old. There you go.
Do they now?
Yep.
That's weird.
Yeah, I know. I mean physically in nature.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still weird.
So
didn't get any better.
here's showtime, and is it a bit of a tricky scenario? He's hoping maybe that someone comes his way, but no one will. And it's been a really big step up from Sick and GMD across these last 2 rounds that have kept Rogue in this. Of course, it was a 4K from GMD in the round previous, and 3 from Sick this time that kept them out of harm's way. Ooh, just gonna miss the M4 as well. That's pretty devastating.
Yeah, he got caught on the ladder. Well, it should be pretty easy for Rogue, all things considered, into this next one. Mac 10 is out on Katie, and he knows it's low economy. He knows it's time to go hunting. 4 USPs and a CZ on Showtime. Luminosity going for a very strong buy, saving everything for that next round. This stage in the game, it needs to be all about economy for the CT side. No risky purchases. Cadian has free reign, all the map control. I say that, but then Cello just destroys him. Here's Sick. Should be able to handle Yell with just the USP, and he does. So a 10th round for Rogue. They've made their way up towards double digits. They've got to win 5 more straight to force OT. I remember as well, this kind of comes to play. I mentioned at the start of the first map, the fact that Cloud9, Liquid, and SK have done so much traveling. The second half of the season is going to be filled with those 3 teams coming back to play all these makeup matches and just destroying all the dreams of some of the more inexperienced squads. So Rogue needs all the points they can get now to kind of go through that cold winter. Yell and Cello open things up for Luminosity, and this should be easy for BKL. Straight up rushing through the smoke. And this will be it. This will be the last round unless GMD can pull off something miraculous.
Yeah, it was him
3.
Who just a few rounds ago got that 4K that kept them in this. Now he has to try and find another 4K, but this time 1v3. And that's no easy task. GMD, one of the newcomers to this squad, now has to try and prove his worth to keep them in this match. Cello's going aggressive over here towards main. GMD's being careful to not leave any clues as to his whereabouts, sneaking the whole way over here towards B. Luminosity, they've heard nothing. Yep. Down in Pop Dog, and GMD just going to be skirting on by. We'll be allowed control of this B bomb site. And he has to be careful, because as that clock ticks lower and lower, Luminosity can afford to take a gamble and start to maybe rotate a few players on over, and going to be pressured to get this bomb down.
It's interesting that no one from Luminosity is even here to spot this, but their kind of process of elimination, they're going to have them boxed in. One flanking. Ooh, Showtime goes down, missed shot. Chance for GMD, 1-on-2, pushing forward, trying to make sure he can have a 1-on-1 wherever he takes the next fight. Still out in the open. And now it's all a guessing game, isn't it? And he's exposed, and he can't control that one. Brings Cello down to 21. Not a bad effort, but Luminosity is going to take it 16-10, so they respond after the loss on Nuke of the same scoreline, 10-16, to, you know, paybacks. Payback is really tough. Yeah, I ran into a word that I couldn't say, didn't I?
Really nailed the outro there.
Well, you know, I like to make things sound as intense as possible, really build up all the excitement. Speaking of what payback is.
I was just going to say something about, you know, awkward throws and whatnot, but you nailed that one too.
We all get a couple, you just get like 10 or 12.
Yeah, I get a couple different passes, and that's how the cookie crumbles. Now, Let's move on to the most pressing topic on our mind. Luminosity and Rogue squaring off on 2, and we have 2 contrasting maps here. Guys, where do you want to start?
I mean, I guess we can start off with where we left it off in the pre-match, the fact that we were expecting Luminosity to come out a lot hotter than what they did on Nuke, and that's kind of what we got to see as well. And you know, a funny way, I think it's a bit of a mirror of what we saw on Nuke as well. I think the reason why I see Rogue end up on double figures is mainly off of the back of winning a ZZ round after Luminosity picks up the second pistol. So outside of that, not a whole lot to you know, write home about for Rogue in that sense, in terms of their train display overall. But I think it was always going to be an uphill struggle for them going into train versus Luminosity.
Yeah, they just looked a little bit uncomfortable, I'd say, on the CT side. Didn't look like the rotation was on point. We talked about it in the pre-game as well. They weren't winning the duels at all. Gel were having a good time with K on the Ivy area. Yeah. So there's just a lot of stuff not working for Rogue in that sense. And I think we, as you said, we saw what we expected pretty much. And as you said, it also was like switching sides between Nuke and Train. Exactly the same thing happened. Whereas on Nuke, it was LG winning the rounds of the CCs, and this time around it was only Rogue winning the rounds of the CC. So I think we got to see what we expected. We got to see all the Luminosity players as well, showing why we are considering them to be better players than the majority of the Rogue players as well. So overall, it feels good to finally be on point with the analysis here at the desk, right?
I was about to say, because it's rare that you kind of get all stars aligning in terms of, like, you've mentioned a player and then he does terribly. And, you know, we brought out Yell. He played well. You brought up Cello. He played extremely well on Train as well. We brought up Sick as kind of the star for Rogue as well. He had 2 good maps. So everything just kind of lined up into place pretty nicely.
Good to see that they're delivering on what we expect, right? So,
yeah.
And a splitting map between Rogue and LG, they can be pretty satisfied with that, especially Rogue, considering that they stole off a map against LG.
And they, you know, for all intents and purposes, a pretty decent showing by both sides, having secured some sort of success in the night.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a total loss on either side, but more so I think Rogue has benefited from the evening.
Yeah, no, if you were to, like, crown a loser, I guess, in that sense, or crown a winner.
Crown the loser.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it how
you know, we're going different ways about this. You know, everything in Europe is backwards compared to the U.S. But
not disagreeing.
But yeah, no, I'd definitely say Rogue got the better end of that deal. Obviously, Luminosity are going to be happy with one map, but in the kind of situation they find themselves in where they want to vie for, like, not necessarily just the top 6, but potentially a better seed going into the World Finals, then you can't necessarily afford to drop maps versus Rogue.
And that's the problem if we want to touch upon just a little bit about LG this season. They've now split map between Renegades and Rogue, 2 teams that I would expect them to at least... Renegades maybe be a fair split, but Rogue is one of those teams they need to take 2-0 in order to secure their spot into the top 6. Otherwise, we could potentially see a situation where we go into the last week of Pro League and LG still haven't secured a spot at the World Finals, what would be a big disappointment for them. The sooner these teams can lock in their positions in the league and lock in their qualification for the World Finals, well, the sooner they can start to relax and focus on all the other tournaments and then build up the hype to the big World Finals. So it means a lot to them, and stealing a map or losing a map to Rogue is just not good enough for LG.
Just takes a little bit of time. They're going to have to get it all together. You know, we are going into what will be the 4th week of ESL Pro League. You know, we're kind of getting to that halfway point, that halfway stretch where it's just about time to put the numbers up there where they count, so you don't find yourself in a weird spot at the end of the season. Now, no weird spots here. We're going to cut to an Xfinity speed session. So let's check it out.
Hello guys, I'm Bolts. I play for SK. The first game I fell in love when I was a kid was Counter-Strike the first. I tried other games before, but like not playing too much. Counter-Strike 1.6, I played it online, like first time, and I love it. My favorite sport team in the world is Grêmio. It's a soccer team in Brazil. Sometimes when I am in Brazil, I go to watch the tournaments they play. Last year, they win the most important tournaments on like South America. I prefer dogs for sure. I have like 2. They are my babies, on Akita and on Golden Retriever. And they are super big and they like to destroy everything in the house. Maybe buying a car because I don't have a license. I need to start driving and learn, so I think it's a car. The team to beat here, I think FaZe and Astralis are the most strongest, but we always beat FaZe, so I don't know, the team gonna meet on finals maybe. I hope we're gonna show on finals, so the other opponent. I was starting, I looked for Get Right from Nip, and he like have the most famous spray in the world. I was watching him playing and try to get like close to him. My worst thing on my playing, I think, is I am too passive. I need to play more aggressive sometimes, and if I want to choose something to change, I think that's it. The thing we want to beat is like FaZe, because they are the top one now. I don't have like a player to beat. We just face like teams against teams, and we don't think too much about players.
Incendiary out.